My name is Joe Peroni, and this is the Rise Above Project. So, could you imagine that you lost a game, and instead of trying to do better next time, or maybe to practice more or get better players on your team, you just change the scoreboard and you say that you won automatically? Or maybe you're overdrawn on your checking account. And you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Somewhere along the line, you're just going to draw a couple more zeros, right? And now you're all of a sudden a millionaire just because you put an extra number in there. Now, as ridiculous and as stupid as that sounds, this is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. So he lies about government data, and he just says things that are complete lies. Now, how can he get away with this? Well, one of the things is because his supporters are such followers, they're cult followers, that no matter what he says, they will go along with. They very, very rarely hold him accountable for anything. And so it allows him to basically say whatever he wants. It's crazy. So let's talk about a few of these things. So the labor market is slowing down. That's factual. New jobs that were created in May were 19,000. In June, 14,000. In July, 73,000. You need about 150,000 jobs per month extra in order to keep up with the population. So if you look at the last 3 months, it doesn't even equal what we're supposed to have for 1 month. So beyond any rational discussion here, if we look at the numbers, it's obvious that the labor market is slowing down. Now, if you're the president, you think you'd be worried about that, and you might want to do something to try to change that. Well, Donald Trump is doing something to change it. What he said is the numbers were rigged, obviously, because if he doesn't agree with something, if it doesn't go in his direction, he's a victim, and he just says, oh, they're trying to screw me over. Those numbers aren't good. Those aren't the real numbers. And so he fires the data collector. Now, as insane as this is a real problem because a lot of people support Donald Trump no matter what he does. What is this going to do? When you fire data collectors in any area, what's going to happen is that the next people in are going to have to be completely loyal and subservient to Donald Trump. So in a fascist country, of which this is becoming, it's what their dear leader says is the truth, not what is the truth. So if 2 plus 2 equals 5 in Trump world, that's the answer. It's 5. Because if you say that 2 plus 2 equals 4, you're going to get fired. So how many people are going to want that job? Nobody. The only people that are going to want that job are people who do want to get paid to be good liars and to be good foot soldiers for a fascist president. Do you remember when Donald Trump said that we could keep the COVID numbers down if we just tested less people? Now, again, as hilarious as that might seem, there's enough Trump supporters that back him up on this. So if there was 1 million people infected with COVID, and you know this because they were tested, he said, well, just don't test. Like, you can test like 5 people. And that would mean that only 5 people had COVID. Now, the other 1 million or so would still have COVID, but you wouldn't say those numbers out loud. And a lot of people would just believe that COVID didn't exist. That's what Trump wanted to do during the height of COVID. Interesting. Other things that Donald Trump is doing. He accused Jerome Powell, who is the chair of the Federal Reserve, he accused him of being a Biden appointee. Now, why did he do this? And why would it even matter? First of all, he wants Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. And he said he's going to fire him if he doesn't. Well, you don't need a real civics lesson here, but like he doesn't have any power over Jerome Powell to fire him. He's not allowed to do that. But Trump supporters don't know this, right? Now, he's not a Biden appointee. Trump himself is the one who appointed him. So what are we to believe? Does this guy have dementia? Does he not know what he does? Does he not know that he put him in that position? Or does he just say it because he knows his Trump cult followers will just go along with it and make a big deal out of this? And they're going to politicize something that doesn't need to be politicized. It's hard to tell. I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think he's very intelligent, number one, and he probably doesn't remember what he did. But his supporters, again, don't hold him accountable for anything, so he doesn't ever have to pay a penalty. In April, Donald Trump claimed to make 200 trade deals with 200 countries. Sounds interesting, except that there are not even 200 countries in the world. He's beyond delusional. And these other trade deals supposedly that he made, where are they? Right? Have you seen anything? And now with these tariffs coming in, he's bragging how we're making money. We don't make money. It's the American people who are paying that out. The average is supposed to be somewhere around $2,400 per person that we're going to have to pay more. Now, right now, we live in a society where it's about over 50% of people live paycheck to paycheck. They don't even have $400 stashed away for an emergency. And you're going to hit them with a bill here to raise prices to about $2,400 more? How does that make sense to anybody? And why are Trump supporters cheering for this garbage? Is this what you voted for? Insane. So Trump says he doesn't believe in global climate change. Now, it's hard to say if he does or if he doesn't, right? Like, he's beholden to big oil companies, and so he's going to say that. But he has said it was a hoax and everything else. So let's just assume that he doesn't believe in global climate change. But here's the problem. 96% of climatologists do. So if you're educated and you know something and it's your area of expertise in this world, you do believe in global climate change. Which is interesting, right? I get this a lot from these Trump supporters, especially at church too. I wonder why. But they'll say, oh, I know the answer. I did my own research. If you get a person, especially a Trump supporter, saying that they did their own research, you need to worry. First of all, they're looking for confirmation bias. They don't understand how Google searches work, that they are only looking for the same information over and over again. They don't have the intelligence to even ask the right questions. They don't know how to figure out the data. And if you're actually a person who is trying to be educated, or let's say you're a scientist, you're looking to prove whatever you think, you're trying to prove it false. You're not trying to prove it to be true. And so you can never trust somebody who says that they're doing their own research. You take somebody like Anthony Fauci, who's an epidemiologist, and he's been working in the field for over 50 years. And I'm going to trust some Trump supporter who does a Google search, and now all of a sudden they're an epidemiologist or a virologist. How do they even talk out loud without laughing at themselves? I see this all the time too. Like someone will say something, well, I Googled something on narcissism. Now I know what it means. No, you don't. Okay, you know how many years it takes to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist? It takes many years to do that. I'm going to take a person who went to a university and studied and then had thousands of hours worth of an internship over your Google search. Sorry, that doesn't make sense. Only a real Trump supporter would say really crazy things like that. It's hard to understand the level of their mental incompetence. So what else is Trump doing? Because he doesn't believe in global climate change. He cut meteorological data. So we're not going to know as much as we did before when big storms are coming or the damage that they have done. He ended funding for the Global Research Program. So when we have this problem of global climate change, he's doing everything possible to make it worse. He's even cutting back on FEMA. Now, as you recall, there was a hurricane when Biden was in office, and he was jumping in there saying, oh, that they're not fixing the problem fast enough and all this other stuff, and all the money from FEMA went to immigrants, which is not true. But he's literally cutting FEMA. So where are all these Trump supporters who were up in arms before? Number one, they're stupid enough to believe that the FEMA money was going to illegal immigrants somehow. That doesn't make any sense, but they believed it. So, okay, if you can get them to not believe that, okay, so then we're back to you're pro-FEMA. Right, but he's cutting that too. So now where are you? Right, so again, it only goes back to their love of Trump. Again, I see this a lot when I go to church. You would think that in church you would have a love of, let's say, God or Jesus, but they are supporting Donald Trump a lot more. I've got two friends that identify as born-again Christians who support Donald Trump more than they do the Pope. Like, this is just lunacy. Some more things Donald Trump has said that I think is hilarious. He just said it within the last week or so. He said that a gallon of gas was down to $2.20, and with his great leadership, we should all be cheering. Well, first of all, that's not even remotely true. The average gas price in the United States for a gallon of gas is $3.14. I live in Las Vegas. It's closer to, I think it's $3.60. So it's not $2.20. He just says stuff and makes it up, and Trump supporters just sit there and clap and just cheer it on. There are a lot of things in this world that I would like to bring back, right? I would like to bring back classic rock music, right? Or whatever. There's a lot of things. There are certain things in fashion that I would like to come back. Certain things about dignity and being a decent person, I'd like to bring that back, right? But Donald Trump is bringing some things back. Just like he promised, right? But here's the thing. Measles were declared eliminated from the United States in the year 2000. Okay, 25 years ago, we have defeated measles. There's a reason for that. Immunization shots. But because there's so much vaccine skepticism being pushed by people like Donald Trump, that number went from 95% of people being immunized down to 70% and getting lower by the day. So what does that do? We're starting to get measles outbreaks again. Do you know this? Well, there's a reason why you might not. And there's a reason why we don't know how much damage is actually being caused. Because Donald Trump, again, just wanting to change the data or change the people who are running it, he cut public health care workers. Is that going to make the situation better? Just look the other way and it's not there? No. He's not allowing data to be shared. And of course, like I said, he's still pushing vaccine skepticism. So when you want to make America great again, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but you are bringing back diseases, I can tell you that. And you're also going to bring back more poor people, and you're cutting back on food stamps and other types of welfare, and it's just going to go on and on. But the thing is, though, you have to look around you, right? You have to look with your eyes, you got to hear with your ears, and not just go by the numbers that he's saying, because he's trying to gut the system. He's only putting people in there that are going to say the numbers that he wants to hear. Now, of course, he hasn't done that completely, but he's in the process of firing everybody who gives him a bad report. So just make sure you do your due diligence here. If he says that food prices are going down like he did, well, do what I did, right? I went to the store the other day. I took a picture of, it was 96% ground beef. And it was $9.99. That price has been going up. I buy the same things every week. I was going to put that on Facebook, but I know what Trump supporters would say. They would say it's fake news, even though I'm the one who's buying it. I tried to buy liquid egg whites this week. Not tried, I did. For, I think it's a quart of liquid egg whites. It's about $10 now. Okay, that's going down? No, it's not. These food prices are going up, and the tariffs didn't even really hit yet. So we have to look forward to a lot more of this negativity, but you're not going to hear it as negativity. He's just going to lie his way through. And there's enough Trump supporters out there that love to hear him speak, and they would much rather pay more in food and everything else and have their services go down and lose their health care, as long as they could see that guy entertain them with his stupidity. So that's where we are in this country. Anyway, my name is Joe Perrone. This is the Rise Above Project. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Thank you.